Oh, all right, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here today with a very special guest, Holly Kitchens, thanking her for giving me some of her time to share her experiences with you, my audience. So, first, we're going to go talk about Honey Badger Nation, and this is a little bit about it.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.
All right, all right. Like I said, I'm thankful to have Holly Kitchens here today. Welcome, Holly.
Hey, Ed, what's going on? I am so excited to be on your show, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you could make it. So if you've been watching my podcast for the last, 6 or 8 weeks or so, you keep seeing Honey Badger Nation. So basically what we do is collaborate with each other and help each other grow. And that Holly's one big part of Honey Badger Nation. And she's going to tell you a little bit about it as she goes through her story.
Yeah, absolutely. So Honey Badger Nation, for those who are listening in and aren't exactly sure what it is, it's exactly what Ed just said. It's a great, huge group of over 10,000 agents.
Yep.
10,000 agents from, and I would say across the country, but it's actually global now. We are in several countries, obviously several states here in the United States. And it is a collaborative movement, a collaborative effort of just the best of the best in real estate that have decided to put all their fires together and make one big fire and unify themselves as Honey Badger Nation. And what I love about it is, I'm not going to go super deep into the EXP business model because I know a lot of you guys are familiar with it. But the great thing about that business model is whoever you collaborate with, that gives them incentives to help you more, because when you win, they win. So of course, can you imagine the power of 10,000 agents strong and growing, and all the efforts of helping each other learn, grow, and share to really, amplify their business as best as they possibly can. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit, a clip note version of Honey Badger Nation. But, as I got into the picture of Honey Badger Nation, it actually started back in 2009. I went into an interview with a large brokerage in Lawton, Oklahoma, and that brokerage was with the J Kinder home selling team. And I was so nervous and scared because I come from a super small town in Oklahoma, and I was just intimidated by the big name and the big brand and, the big person behind this brand. Yeah. But of course, for those who knows J Kinder, he is, just amazing. He will give you the shirt off of his back. He's one of the best human beings I know, but he's also just raw and real. I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards him, because he definitely won't sugarcoat anything, and he'll just tell you how he's feeling and how he feels, whether it be good or bad, but it's always from the best intention of his, place that he's coming from. So in 2009, I had an interview there, and that was like late 2009. And then in 2010, I joined his team as a buyer's agent. So that's kind of how I got my roots within the J Kinder scene, is being a buyer's agent from there. And then in 2013, moved to Dallas, Texas, and was on their team that they created in Dallas, which was the Michael Reese home selling team. But again, it was, Jay, Mike, and John behind it. So joined that. And then, realizing too that I really, I really perform best helping other people one-on-one, and not necessarily out in the field as a real estate agent. So as my goals have changed and my focus has changed, kind of helped me play more of a role within helping support and growing this huge beast known as Honey Badger Nation. So I guess that's kind of how I got involved in all of that.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a quick story of how I got involved within Honey Badger Nation, and just super grateful to be part of the journey.
Well, that's a great story, and it's a great. I knew parts of it, not all of it, but it's a great little cliff notes, as you said, about what Honey Badger Nation is all about. And it's hard to understand the collaboration and how it works when you come from somewhere else. And you don't, well, maybe you do know, but I've been in the business 32 years. So obviously I came from somewhere else. So, and I was actually with the same broker for 29 years. So wow. Coming over to EXP, it was like, why does everybody share with each other. So it's completely different. So it really does happen here. But so let's talk about, you said raw and real. I know you were talking about Jay,
Yeah.
but it reminds me of you and how you got into personal branding and what it's like to be yourself out there when you're branding yourself. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I would love to talk about that because I hope that this story will relate to someone somewhere. So, as I had just mentioned, I am from a super small town. It's called Rush Springs, Oklahoma. Population like 1,300. And as you can imagine, you are the environment that you are in, right? So,
Yeah.
growing up, I had a super small hometown mindset, very, I won't say closed, but very not aware of the possibilities that are out there. Like literally in our library, there was either nonfiction books. So it would be like, I'm thinking like Civil War, like history books, things like that, or fiction books, which was like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, things like that. And as a kid, that's all I knew was either like history or nonfiction. And it wasn't until I joined Jay's team that I knew that personal development was actually a thing. Like, I know that sounds so crazy, but I walked into his office. I remember one time in one of our meetings and I looked over on his bookshelf and I pointed at this book. I'm like, oh, that guy's the guy from Shallow Hal. And that guy was actually Tony Robbins. So I didn't even know who Tony Robbins was. I just thought he was the guy on Shallow Hal that hypnotized
Yeah, right.
back on the elevator. So that just kind of gives you a glimpse of my mindset. I was very, I grew up not only in a small town, but I also grew up in low income housing. And needless to say, we didn't have a lot. I was, a fourth kid to a single parent. So you can only imagine my mom running the show of us four kids without our dads being in the picture. But I remember in first grade, I only had one pair of jeans. And with that one pair of jeans, I didn't think too much about it. I mean, that was just how I only knew what I knew. But anyways, I was trying to get attention of this little boy. I thought he was cute. I wanted to, get his attention. So what better way to do that than play tag? So as I'm playing tag, I'm picturing in my head, like I'm going to tag him. He's going to turn around and he's going to be like, oh my gosh, Holly, you're so cool. I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, you're so cool. Then we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend and just live happily ever after. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I did tag him, but instead of him, saying that I was cool and such as I thought, he turned around and was like, why do you wear the same pair of jeans every day? And literally, yeah, like it killed my confidence. The poor kid. I know him, as an adult today, and he's not mean, but kids say the dark things, right?
Yeah, they do.
But at that moment of time, I remember like that gut feeling, like that pain in my stomach of embarrassment of like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just like, sink into the ground and disappear.
Yeah.
And I think, it kind of instilled in me that like, attention equals negativity. Like lay low, don't draw attention to yourself. It's not good. Being embarrassed is not worth anything. So up until even throughout like high school, I was hanging out we had our own little hallway. We hung out with like the loner kids, as somebody might say. We were the misfits, the people who didn't, weren't mainstream or whatever. So it kind of spilled into throughout my childhood to teenage years to even adulthood. Whenever I joined Jay's team, that's what I loved about it is I got to hide behind his logo. There was no attention there on me. His face was on the billboards. His face was getting doodled on the signs, all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
So with saying that, they still encouraged us on the team, obviously, to build our own sphere of influence and bring more business into the real estate company. So I remember they had purchased, they're called flip cameras. I don't know if you remember them, but they were like little mobile, they were like kind of like the it thing at the time. They're like little mobile handheld cameras that you could take videos of or pictures of, but it's mostly made for video. It was before iPhones had the great cameras in them. So anyways, I check out a flip phone and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this, content thing. I'm going to try putting a video out there and just seeing how I can, build my sphere up of, people that I know. So I go to a new construction house in Elgin, Oklahoma, and I do a walkthrough tour of this property we had just listed. And I remember I uploaded it to YouTube and kind of, whatever, set it, forget it type thing. About a week later, I was like, you know what? I'm wondering how that's performing. Like, I want to know, like, hopefully I got like 50 likes. I was hoping to get maybe 50. I was thinking maybe 10. I'm not exactly sure, but not likes. I'm sorry, views. Right. So, and this is before, again, this is back in 2010. So this is before YouTube. You can promote videos. You can put money behind them. You can, stand out. You understand like thumbnails. I don't think you could even update the thumbnail during that time. Anyways, so I go to check the platform and I about fall on my chair when I realized there's 30,000 views on this video.
Wow.
And again, it was with a flip camera, so it's not like this high quality like production thing, but still, instead of like thinking like, oh, I'm going to capitalize this, how can I monetize this traffic? How can I take these people and, either build an audience or build a mailing list? Like, what we would do now. Instead,
Yes.
I not only deleted the video, but I deleted my entire YouTube channel because I got freaked out. So I'm like, who are these people? Why do they want to know me? Why are they watching my video? I asked myself all the wrong questions instead of saying, like I had just said, ways to capitalize and monetize on it and add value. So that just kind of tells you, everyone listening in, my mindset and exactly how sheltered I was and how I was very comfortable with where I was at being unknown. Well, fast forward to 2017, I had launched a rock and roll boutique as like a hobby. I just want to kind of dabbled in some e-commerce stuff. And I remember I hired an e-commerce coach. So like anybody in business, if you guys want to get further in collapse time, you hire a coach that can help you get there. So
Yeah.
he had asked me a very simple elementary question, but it was very impactful to me at the time. And it still is today because obviously I'm telling the story. And he had asked me, what are you doing differently than Amazon or what are you doing different than Target? Both of those stores you can go to and get a Guns N' Roses shirt for $12. They're both well-known companies. Why would they come to your unknown boutique and purchase a shirt for 3 times that amount? And it kind of hit me because I was like, well,
Right.
why would they? They can't come in here and feel the quality of the material. They don't, I'm not Target. Maybe they don't feel comfortable on a return policy, so on and so forth. So it kind of had me thinking because I've always had a marketing background in some capacity. I've always been behind the scenes helping other people with their marketing operations. So I already knew the power of content and standing out. So I kind of started asking myself the tough questions, instead of being an employee or behind the scenes person, I started asking myself as a business owner, why would they buy from me? And if not, what could I do to make them buy from me? Like, what could I do to earn that trust, to build that community? Because I know the power of community, as we all do. Once you get somebody that loves you, trusts you, they will just keep coming back for more and more. And that's the moment I realized, this is going to be, I'm going to do a podcast. So from there, because my podcast, my boutique was for rock and roll concert goers, and I would always find myself meet and greets, behind stage, just some kind of antics. And I'm like, why not record that and turn into a podcast and give fans kind of an experience of behind the scenes type thing? So that's how I started my podcasting journey, was through that. And I realized, if I want to really build a successful company that relates to people and have raving fans, I have to let people know who they're doing business with. And at the end of the day, that's me. So that's whenever I realized, like, if I'm going to be a business owner, I got to put my big girl pants up and show up as a business owner, because as we all know, people buy from people and not from logos. Just something for you guys to think about. I mean, Kylie Jenner, she has sold over $400 million worth of makeup in the last 12 to 18 months, right?
Wow.
Versus L'Oreal or Maybelline, they haven't even came close to that within that short span. And you can say it's because the Kardashian name or this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, Kylie's putting her face out there. Kylie's building that sense of community. Kylie's building those raving fans. That versus a logo, I think that's just a classic example. So understanding the power of personal branding and putting yourself out there so that people relate to that business owner. And as I started doing that within the podcast, customers were like loving it because they got to submit their questions into their favorite rock stars. They got to feel like they're part of the show. But then also too, they also bought clothing that they knew was good quality because they bought from it, and they always kept coming back. So when somebody bought from me, they'd always buy from me again. And I think that was just such a great lesson learned for me to understand, like, not all attention is negative. It's just how you have to have that mindset, putting yourself out there and taking that step and that action step. And I think one thing that's really helped me was saying, because I guess biggest fear of mine was like trolls or haters or bad comments.
Exactly.
Because that, again, go back to my first grade experience. And I think, understanding as an adult, saying, okay, the content I'm putting out there is meant to help somebody, not hurt somebody, right?
Right.
So if someone's going on there being trolls, and they're probably not coming from the best place of heart, they probably don't have my best interest at heart.
No.
Now, we can all think of sometimes we have criticisms from family members and friends. That's the criticism I'll take in consideration. I'm not going to take some unknown person that's hiding behind a keyboard saying bad things about me. whenever at the end of the day, I don't, you know what I mean? Like they don't have my best interest at heart. They're not trying to help me grow as a person. So I think having that kind of mindset shift really helped me put myself out there. And then with the podcasting and all the great things that came with it, people started to take notice and they're like, well, how did you do that? Or who did you go to do that? And I was like, oh, I did that myself. I'm hosting everything myself. I'm creating everything myself. And then that's when I started having business owner friends that were like, well, can you tell me how to do that? So I started like doing like little quick tutorials just to show people like how to do some little things I was doing. And then they started realizing that they don't have time for it. So that's when they were like, can I just pay you to do it for me? So I guess that's kind of like my journey of, personal branding and having that experience of the thrill that personal branding gets you. And then from that, I think what even excited me even more was helping people who for some reason wasn't putting themselves out there. Maybe it was the lack of time, maybe it was a lack of resources, maybe it was just that fear that I had. But that's kind of like where I ignited my passion and I really exploded as an entrepreneur. Was, oh my gosh, how cool is it not only for me to do it, but now I get to help other people do the exact same thing that was holding me back.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's almost doesn't matter what you read. I wasn't going to get into books right away, but right now I'm reading 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And there's a part in there that's similar to what you just said, is that if you're not out there taking action, it's, you don't get the positive results and the negative results. Okay. So there's going to be haters. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's going to be trolls or people that are, following you. And, like you said, they're just creeping you.
Yeah. Exactly.
which is what you thought in 2010, 12 years ago. I don't blame you, because you probably were like 30,000 views 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's probably unheard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh my gosh. And again, I come from a small town. My grandma did a great job of making me aware of my surroundings. So I'm like, are these people going to track my address? Can they find what?
Right. Well, it's funny.
Funny and laughable.
It's funny you say that, because it's still, my wife said something to me yesterday. I posted a video yesterday. I told you briefly, I'm not going to get into this right now, but it was about me and my health, because I had a really good follow-up doctor's appointment from surgery 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to one of my associates that's in my group. She's like, you got to post that. And I'm like, I don't post that personal stuff. So I post it, and my wife said at dinner last night, she goes, now everybody's got, well, you put your phone number in there. I'm like, yeah, I'm in sales, man. I got, of course my phone number's in there. So scrolling across the bottom right here. Yeah. English.me. I mean, and she's like, well, they're just, people are going to call you now. They got your name. They got your phone. It's like, no, it's not. No, I mean, I got to be out there. Okay. So I did it, and it's got over 100 views in the first night. So I don't know. I just opened up my heart a little bit and said a little bit about me. So I'm kind of learning all this stuff from Nick Krem, and I follow you too, of course. I see all your stuff. I see you got millions of views on your GIPHYs. Is that how you pronounce it? GIPHYs?
Yeah. So I think it's GIF. I don't think I know. So the creator said it was GIF, like the peanut butter.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the things that I'm a big advocate of, finding innovative ways of putting yourself out there and branding yourself. So when everyone is, it's not necessarily I'm a trendsetter, but I'm more of a trend watcher. I try to, take notes of what's going on. And, I started, within stories, I started using these little GIF, like the little story GIFs.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, and one day I remember I was like making one. I'm like, why the heck am I not using myself as this? Like, why do I keep marketing these people that I don't know who they are? So I went through the process and got it brand approved, and, got approved to be on all the platforms such as Snapchat, YouTube.
Oh, you have to get all that approved, because you're the only one that I've really seen that has their own branded GIF.
That's actually, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug here, but that's actually one of the services that I offer with my clients, is to help them do that. There is a process you have to do, just because they don't allow anybody to go in there. Because you imagine, like, the 12-year-olds, the 13-year-olds of the stuff that they put out there. So they do have quality control of that.
Okay.
However, it's really taken off. It's been a unique way. So not necessarily everyone listening in, you guys all go out and get GIFs. If that's not your thing, that's cool. But always pay attention of, like, if you start doing something over and over again, say, why am I utilizing someone else's content, or am I utilizing somebody else's things when I can be creating my own. And I started doing that. And again, it sparked so much curiosity and authority within people that were following me. I still get messages for people replying back. They're like, how did you get yourself on there? How did you do that? And then again, I'm like, okay, this is a service. And, then I just gracefully slide in my services that I help with people on it. And it's great because a lot of my clients, they've gotten over millions of views. I know I helped Nick with his, Lindsay Businger. There's just been a lot of clients that I have that have over millions of views because of that. And even yesterday, I had a laugh. I'm traveling back from Cleveland. I know we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I laughed because I got a random Facebook message from somebody that was like, oh my gosh, you're a Jeff. I just saw you on somebody's story. They really took off too. And I mean, it's crazy. My sister will send me stuff from TikTok and they're like, oh my gosh, you're famous. And I'm like, I'm actually not, but thank you. And it really creates that, curiosity with people and they start taking notice. I even had someone message me that said, dude, Zach Wilde just used your sticker. And if you guys are listening and you don't know who Zach Wilde is, he's the guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, now I can feel like I made it in the GIF world where influencers and international rock stars are using mine. Of course, they don't know who I am.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's the positioning of it. And then people now look at you differently because
it makes sense because people use GIFs. They just use somebody else's GIF.
Exactly. I was actually in the Real Estate Mastermind Facebook group, and somebody had used one of mine. You have the story sticker, like the stickers, the transparent background, but then you also have the GIFs that are like you can reply back into in comments. And somebody had actually used mine that was like samesies or something like that. So I was like, I had to stop my scroll. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. So I had to reply comment like, dude, you're the VIP for using my GIF. And then a couple of other people I knew, like Albie Stasic was like, I was about to say, I know that girl. So it's been a super cool journey of implementing cool, innovative ways within social strategies to create that engagement, to create that awareness, and really just become somebody that people are interested in. Like, how the heck did you get to do that? Or who are you to be on that medium? I think that's just one big play when it comes to personal branding. And like you had just mentioned, like bringing that personal side of it into it. And it doesn't mean airing out your dirty laundry. It doesn't mean like putting out every single thing out there, like your house address. No. But it does mean letting people know, like get a glimpse inside of your world. What are you about? What are you, some of the things you're interested in? What are the things that they would be attracted to whenever they're following you?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And so speaking of personal branding, and making it more yourself.
Yeah.
So I have a new agent. She's not a new agent. Okay. She's 10 years in the business, but new to my group.
Yep.
And she has only been at EXP for 3 weeks, maybe 4 at the most. I think it's only like 3. So I talk to her now every day, and we have a call every morning. And she's the one who told me to post that video because we've been going to Nick's classes and saying you need to post content. So and the reason that I think you're famous, because I think you are famous in my world, right? It's because you're consistent and you're always posting content. So, and the GIFs just really that really draws attention. So anyway, she's amazed at, I'm gonna see if I can find the quote in my notes. She's amazed. Here it is right here. She's amazed at her transition to EXP. She said it's like walking into another universe where you can take the pieces and put together and make your own puzzle.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah, because she's getting into this whole video and personal branding now, which is what I'm told her today's going to be epic. She's watching right now. Hi, Steph.
Yay.
I'm sure she's watching. And if she's not, she'll be watching the recording.
Very cool.
But she's making it real. And what she said is that, at the old company, they didn't encourage you to be yourself and to be real. They encourage you to have this persona that they want you to be projecting. And this is just completely different. And everybody at EXP is themselves, right? I mean, if they want to wear a t-shirt, they wear a t-shirt. It's just completely different. So you're making an impact. You're making an impact, and she's just starting to follow you. So
that is awesome. Well, if she has any questions, definitely feel free to DM me on any of the social media platforms, because I'd love, that's just what I'm passionate about, is helping people, like I said,
get
out there. But that's one thing that I really love about EXP. I'm not currently actively selling real estate unless it's a
Right.
personal thing. However, I am licensed, and of course, my license is hung with EXP. And
Yes.
that's what I always tell people who, come into the group was like, I don't think they understand the power that they have because, like you
Right.
said, a lot of other people, and I'm not going to mention franchises or brokerages or whatever, um, but those listening into the past experience of other places, you've seen it to where people are like, oh, well, we don't talk like this, or oh, if you have
Right.
tattoos, you cover them up, or you really need to dress like this, or you need to wear
Right.
heels, or you need to wear. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
totally get it about the professionalism, about being professional, but we all have a
Yes.
unique way of we can be professional and how we relate to. And I'm sorry, but some people, they would rather go with an agent that's in t-shirts and Lulu pants or whatever, whatever joggers or something, than somebody that's in a suit and tie that makes them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And
And that's if they're passionate about their business,
100%.
then it doesn't really matter. And
Right.
that's the world we live in today. When I started, it was always wear a suit and tie,
Yeah.
always wear a suit and tie.
Yep.
And it's just not like that anymore.
It's
And
not, but what's super cool, like, and I think too, like back in the day, or maybe even so today too, but people are so focused on, oh, you've got to look the part, you've got to be professional, you got to wear this, you got to wear that. But instead, let's really focus on the morals. Let's talk about being a good real estate agent. Let's talk
you
about
got
doing
it.
the right thing. Let's talk about ethics. Like, I'm sorry, but I could care less about what brand name of clothing you wear. At the end of the day, I want to know, what are your ethics? What are your morals?
Right.
And I think that with EXP, you just, you don't have, it's not just hidden behind a logo. You get to be, Holly Kitchens, brokered by EXP, right? So I get to be
Right.
Holly Kitchens. I get to be my own person. I get to be the star of my own show, and not necessarily that I'm the star. Maybe I'm more so like, that's in story. I think it's in story. Oh my gosh, I just blanked. But Pat Miller does it, and you're not necessarily the hero, but you're the guide. So let me be the guide that I want to be to guide my heroes, who are my clients, on the journey of, taking a home from start to finish, closing on their home. And I think that that's just incredible opportunity, is being able to leverage that, because, within the EXP model, we know there's so many substantial benefits of it, but I think one of them too within real estate agents, it's an exit strategy, it's an exit plan. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like with the revenue share. So with revenue share, that's obviously, helping other agents and attracting
Right.
other agents to grow business with you. And I think with that, personal branding shines really great, because obviously you guys want to be in business with people who are smarter than you, whatever than you. But at the end of the day, you also want to admire them in some sort of way. And I think personal branding is a great way to
Right.
attract those types of people.
Right. I agree. I think I'm going to switch over and ask you about last weekend, because you said you
Yeah.
just came back from Cleveland,
Yes.
and I know where you went. I saw you on Facebook, and Al Stazek was there, Nick Krem was there, and they had Coach Michael Burt. So I haven't seen him yet, other than online. Of course, I see him all the time.
Well, he's incredible.
Yeah.
So so this weekend, there was actually 2 events that I went to. One of them was
Right.
the Coach Michael Burt, which is the activating your prey drive, which if you guys are listening in, you guys haven't listened to anything Coach Burt, I would highly suggest hop on Facebook and follow him. He always posts videos, he always posts educational things, as well as inspirational pieces that really kind of gets you motivated and light a fire up underneath you. And it was just incredible. And it was also cool to see people who haven't ever heard of him, or maybe they haven't even consumed his content, see him in person, and just the amazement of like, oh my gosh, this was exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Because he's huge on activating the prey drive and, taking that action, and just kind of, I can't even do it justice if I even try to talk about his content, but it's incredible. I got the honor of seeing him in Vegas, and, Ed, I know you're obviously in the Honey Badger group. So
Yeah.
we usually try to, and I'm not trying to throw this out there, however, we try to do events around EXP events. So like EXP shareholders is coming up. There
Yes.
may or may not be something with Coach Burt we hope we might be working on.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's
Because I got a couple people that are going to try to go to that. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. So in-person events. So if you guys are listening in, definitely make sure to go follow him. Al had him fly him in from Tennessee to do that event. It
Cleveland,
was
yeah.
incredible as always. And then also the next day was the Bankers Cup, which was a charity hockey event that Al had played in. So it was a great weekend in Cleveland. It was my first time there, and I'll definitely be back.
Oh, really? Oh, I figured you'd already been there. But that's cool.
I know, right? I have I swear like 98% of my Facebook friends are from Ohio. That's a little exaggeration, but
Well,
I've
got a huge group going on there with started by Al,
Yeah.
Renee Sherry Velasquez and John Clark with he's big on his little not gifts, but I'm sure it'll be in gifts next, right?
And that's another example of like he's done a great way of branding himself. Like, you know what I mean? And standing out from the agent next to him, whether it be an EXP agent or any other franchise or brokerage that they're with. He's done a great job of showcasing. And I think that that's just what people need to take, to take and run with. It's understanding who you are as an individual, what makes you unique. Like, why do people binge watch you like Netflix? And it's so funny because I actually got a text message. And I kind of did this intentionally because I was like, this weekend, I'm just going to try to unplug and be focused. I posted a story here and every now and then, like you said, you saw it. But I got a text from my friend Lori, and this is what it says. She said, "Hey, oh wait, hold on. That was me. Sorry." She said, "Hey girl, hey, it's been a few days and I haven't seen a post. So I thought I'd check in with you and see if you were if everything was okay. Hello." So like that just shows you know what I mean? Like people were missing me. I was like, "Oh, I feel loved." Like I feel loved now.
You just took a day off.
Yeah, I took a day off, and which is not a good practice to do for those. That's not consistent. But anyways, but that just shows you that people are paying attention. And once your presence goes missing, they notice that. And the last thing you want to do is have them take that attention and go to somebody else. So you always got to show up. You've always got to be on brand. For me, I always wear a lot of dark colors or neutral colors. So like it would be very unusual if I went and got a professional headshot session of me in hot pink, right?
Yeah.
So staying on brand, staying, consistent with your messaging. If you say the sky is blue, keep saying that the sky is blue, unless if you're told differently in an educational way. Don't just say, the sky's blue. Hey everyone, what's up? The sky's gray. You know what I mean? Like stay consistent in your messaging, I guess, is be the moral of that story.
Yeah. You just answered one of my last questions, which was any simple hints or tricks for people out there. That's what you kind of just answered it.
Yep, that's it. And you always think about these people. And for me, it's funny because like I feel like I'm always saying the same thing over and over again. But there's so many audiences that people listening to you, they have no clue who I am. So this is the first time them hearing it. Even if it's somebody who knows who I am and they're like, oh my gosh, she's telling this story again. They already know what I'm about to say next. And that's the goal. You want to be so consistent that people are finishing your sentences because that's going to be when you're a brand and you consistently drive in that messaging and say it over and over again. And I think a great example is Gary Vee, right? Somebody can say, well, he says the same stuff over and over again. It's like, yeah, but there's a reason why he says that.
Right. So if you can, I got one final question, and I hope I don't put you on the spot, but what book are you currently reading? Are you reading one right now?
Yes. So I am reading Working Backwards, which is, I have to read who it's even by. I think it's, I have to look real quick, but Working Backwards, it's going to be it's pretty much dissecting the Amazon culture and what brought Amazon to be where it's at today. So it's by Colin Breyer and Bill Carr. It's an incredible book. I haven't finished it yet, so I'm currently listening to it. I'm an Audible fan, and then I'll go back and highlight it in my physical book. But Working Backwards is a great book because it tells you about Amazon's, like how they build up their culture, their core values, being efficient, putting the customer first, everything. It's just a fantastic read for those who are, either about to run their own business or currently running their own business. They do a fantastic job of really breaking down what a successful company looks like.
Cool. Yeah. So I just I like to ask that when I wrap it up. So we'll just, this is over 30 minutes, which I don't usually do, but we were jabbing and talking and it was fun. So I really appreciate you being on. Maybe we'll have you on again. Maybe I'll come on your show sometime.
I would love that, Ed. Absolutely.
Yeah. I really appreciate the time and have a great day. All right.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right. Signing off, guys. Have a great day.